Hey, welcome to Surbs Diner, and today I wanted to talk about a recent interview with James Gunn and Amanda Seyfried, and they're both kind of talking about the same thing. Amanda was saying that it's very frustrating that Hollywood is just making all these sequels for money. And James Gunn, adds in a different interview that we're making movies without scripts. At the end of the day, studios need money to make movies. We need movies to entertain. Obviously, I feel like, personally, I feel like movies is a very important art form to have in our society. But we're spending so much money on individual movies, hundreds, 200, we're at like up to 400 million now just in production for films, not even counting advertising and all that. So it's getting to the point where it's kind of like over bloated, and we have to make sequels almost. And when you make sequels, you miss out on a lot of the magic of something new, you know. And even so, like in a lot of sequels, they kind of rely on nostalgia. But nostalgia is like, we realize something in the past was great and important and new and magical, and we just want to reference that instead of creating something new, magical, and important. And I feel like in a lot of ways, if you go to lower budget films, yeah, you get a lot of original releases, which is great, but we're kind of missing the magic of big worlds, new ideas, like the blockbuster. The blockbuster started with Jaws, and then into Star Wars, and then Indiana Jones, and then E.T. and Spielberg and Lucas just like really killed it with the blockbuster, and then going on to like Ghostbusters, and then Jurassic Park, and all of that, and Back to the Future with Robert Zemeckis, and it was like, I feel like that was such a magical time because we were getting new things. They were also getting sequels to those things, but there was a lot of new, fresh Gremlins. There's so much stuff, and nowadays, like, our big blockbusters, the big ones are all sequels, Marvels, DCs, everything like that. And it's like, I want new ideas. I want fresh ideas, and then we get like every once in a while something comes along, and I mean it hasn't happened for a long time, but Jupiter Ascending. What else? Like, it's hard. It's hard to even think like what's a huge, big, blockbuster original idea like with something that's a little out of this world, but still like grounded in reality in some sort of way. And I'm drawing a blank. And obviously we have John Wick. That's kind of started as a low budget, and I believe that had to be financed by Eva Longoria, I think. So it's like, where are these films? And at this point, it's just the studios, they want to make money. The budget has gone so big, they want to make money. But obviously the actors, they are kind of against all this sequels. I mean, they want new ideas too. I mean, actors don't want to play the same things. Directors don't want to make the same things. They all want to do new things. They want to be challenged. Making money is good up until a point. And, Amanda was saying, like, it's frustrating, but, she'll sign on for sequels because, like, they're good experiences as well. And it's up to really the actors to kind of say, hey, no, the big ones, the main ones, for, like, a Mamma Mia 3, like, be like, we need it, but, maybe we need something new. We need something fresh. But I wouldn't consider Mamma Mia part of, like, that's more musicals, and musicals have a whole different sort of impact, and I think all musicals are great, honestly, so yeah, let's get another one. But back to what James Gunn is saying, like, we're making movies now to the point where we don't have scripts, right? And, I mean, this has worked in the past. The prequels of Star Wars, famously, at least the first one, George Lucas hated writing, he hated directing, he hated all of it, but he did what he had to do. But at the end of the day, that worked because it's his original idea. He knew where he was going. And I know there's other films like that where they start off into production without a script, but if you're following a core person and their core idea and their core belief, like, hire me to make a movie that I want to make, like, I can do it without a script. I can start without a script, because I know where it goes. I know all the beats. I know everything, just because it's not finished, and you can come up with it along the way. But I don't think it's exactly that James Gunn is referring to. It's more like Marvel has, like, a quota of certain amount of TV shows, certain amount of movies that have to get out, and I'm sure it's the same thing for other studios, not with like Marvel, but with like own properties. We had to get out this many movies, this many big blockbusters, and we had to reach this quota. So how are we going to do that? Well, we got to make money. So let's just make these sequels. let's just green light the sequel and we'll start it, and we got to reach a deadline. And I think in a lot of ways the sequel trilogy of Star Wars kind of like suffered with a deadline and a quota, and every 2 years have to get a movie out, every year have to get a different movie out. That's what they really wanted, which is insane, because you gotta take your time with these. You gotta show passion, you gotta show love, and your first go through may not be the best. You gotta really sit on it, or you gotta be inspired. Sometimes you are inspired, you're in the moment, and it's like, yeah, it comes to you. And I think that's what like James Gunn is saying about Matt Reeves when it comes to the next Batman movie. It's like, give him time. Like, I know the studio wants Batman. We all want Batman. I mean, we love the movies. I think the last one was great. There's a little pacing issue, but still, it's a great film, and we're looking forward to the next one. But we can't rush it, right? Get it done when it's done. Be inspired. Sometimes you're forced to do something, you're forced to write, and it's like, can't think of anything, but I have to do it, and you just come up with like whatever, and it's not really inspired. It's not really exciting you. You gotta, have fun. And it reminds me of another interview by Jordan Peele, and he was saying that when you're writing a script, have fun while doing it. If you're struggling, just have fun. Make these characters do like cool things. Make you excited about the script. And there's nothing excited about forcing to get the script done for a studio to meet a deadline, right? There's nothing there. And it's like, I know the studios want money, but also like you can only milk franchises for so long. Like one sequel, yes. You start getting to the third one, and it's like, okay, I hope you change it up. Because if you go longer than 3 films, it starts to get like repetitive and annoying, and you gotta do something. You really gotta do something different. They're still gonna make money. I mean, people still love these things. They're still gonna go see it, but it's not like they're gonna be excited for it. I don't know. I feel like the magic is lost on these blockbusters. I love blockbusters. I grew up, watching the 80s and 90s blockbusters. So that's something like I wish we can get back there. And I think of the last 20 years, and it's like just flooded with Marvel. Not saying it wasn't good. There was great things, but I think it reached like the very, very tipping point, Infinity War, Endgame. After that, it's because it was all building to something. I think it knocked it out of the park when it comes to blockbusters. And then they kind of reached a critical mass of shows and shows and shows and shows and and movies, and it's like, okay, do you guys have a point to all this? It felt like there was a point before, and now it feels like you're just doing it to do it. And I know where it's going. Like, I've read a lot of the comics. I know exactly the storyline it's on. I know exactly what's going to happen. Just based off, the Secret Wars and everything. I'm pretty sure it's going the Secret Wars route, which is cool, but I'm not going to spoiler any of that. It'll be nice. It'll be nice once we get to the end of this phase. Like, we can breathe for at least a second. But hopefully it's very inspired and planned out in the future, because that's what we need. We need people who are inspired. Find a writer who's like very passionate about a franchise and the way it works. Get their opinion on it, because you can refer to like the story people later, the lore people. Make sure it's all canon, obviously, because you don't want to break canon. I think that's very important in a sequel franchises. Don't break canon. Okay, you can bend it, but don't break it. It's very, very fragile. These are worlds that are created that people love and enjoy. Unless it's your very own franchise. I mean, if you're making the whole thing, take it wherever you want. Okay, it's your vision anyway. And if you mess it up, whatever. I can appreciate you trying. That's why, like, Matrix 4, I don't like Matrix 4 at all. But I can appreciate the direction it's going. It was made by Lana, and it's like, this is your film. You said what you want to say. I'm glad you made the film and got what you needed out of it. But I didn't enjoy it. We got to get the magic back. We got to say no to sequels. If you're an actor and you're sick of it, just say no to it. And I know it's hard. Like, that's a payday. That's big money. It goes all around. And I think if it's a number 2, it's okay. But at least have a passionate number 2. Have a script. Listen to James Gunn. I like what they're doing with DC. They're taking their time. They're waiting for the stories to come to them versus going and trying to get the story and trying to extract the story from whatever comic book or whatever source they got. Going deep into the lore. It's like, oh, we can use that, pick that up. But like somebody who just read it all and is like, okay, this is what would happen. This is how the characters would do. And this is how everything would be. Because a lot of times you create characters and I learned this from screenwriting, is that like you almost don't have to do anything as a screenwriter, right? The characters, you know, live themselves. They act themselves. They behave themselves. I believe this is what Stephen King does. He creates characters, he sets them in the world, and then he just goes. You know, he doesn't plan everything out. He just starts writing, and the characters are kind of like doing their story. He's excellent in that way, where it's like they do this, and then boom, it gets to an ending, and that's how it happens. Is it realistic all the time? I don't really think so, but that's a process, and I feel like a lot of studios have like, yeah, just make them do what they would do, but it's also like it has to come from a place of like a writer that loves the world and that is passionate about it and knows where it's going to go. And a lot of these studios don't care. It's all about the money. And here on the internet, when it comes to the algorithm, it's kind of what it's turning into. It's all about the money. It's all about what will bring in views. What's the topic we could talk about? What can we say this time that's going to get the views, get the money, bring it all in? And it's like, can we get something? Can we just do something we're passionate about? Can we create a world that we enjoy? I don't know. Those are my thoughts. My voice isn't going to really do anything, but James Gunn, hopefully, can have a little bit of impact. And, you know, we know, I don't know who's the CEO of Disney. Is it Bob Iger? Somebody up there I know is, like, realizing, hey, we have gone a little too overboard on the MCU and probably Star Wars, and we gotta back it out. But now they're talking about a trilogy to The Mandalorian, Grogu, and I'm like, come on. A trilogy already? Let's get the first one. They don't even know what they're doing at Star Wars at this point. Come on. I don't even know. I'm a big Star Wars fan. A big one. So we'll see. I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. I have a lot to say, but I'm not sure the world is ready to hear it. No, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and there. No script this one. Thank you guys for stopping by today, and I will see you tomorrow.